Today is December 2022, and I'm continuing my series Daily Reality with Alex. And the ones that are watching live on Facebook can see what today's message is going to be about. And it is going to be about registration and why everything in reality is constantly registered. In order reality to exist, it's not possible there to not be registration. And I will give you a simple example with the revolution that the Bitcoins and all this crypto brought into the world, in the digital world, of course. And I'm not a very good in this, but at least the main idea that through this technology, every movement is registered forever. It's giving us the perception that in reality also there is such type of a blockchain where everything is 100% registered, and everyone who is in the police and who goes into the investigations know why it is, because we cannot move through reality without being registered from other people, from cameras that are watched, from the interactions we are doing during the day. So actually, we are to do one of two things. Or we can resist that we are constantly monitored, or we can accept it and use it for our advantage. Because there is a reason why in reality everything is monitored, everything is registered, and long term the truth about the existence cannot be manipulated. Yes, short term it is possible, but long term it is not possible, because all the registers are being done constantly. And I remember when I was in a camping stop in a very secluded place, which was up in the mountain, and I said, well, now I'm here in the mountain. Of course, there are approximately 10 people around me, but what is going to happen if I move very deep into the mountain and there is nothing there? Who is going to register what I'm experiencing in this reality? Of course, I'm the one that is making the registrations and observations about everything that is happening in reality. But what else is giving it objectivity? Because it should be at least two witnesses in order objective reality to be matched. So I looked around and I was amazed how many things are happening simultaneously around me in the same time, while I was thinking that I was alone. So next time when you think that you're alone and you see a small bug moving and crawling, you see a mosquito, you see something moving live or unalive, you see a bird singing, it is to give you one more the perception that we are never alone, we are constantly monitored, and we are encouraged to never hide, but to be always open towards the reality. I know it's very difficult for some of us, but because we want to live double life, we want to be one type of person before camera, another type of person behind camera. We think that all our weaknesses are actually going to make us threatened, and it is going to not help us to survive long term. But anyhow, if we know that everything is reality is monitored, and what is happening with the human society is that more and more the humans are seeing that this is actually so. So instead of just trying to move through reality without being registered, because it will take so much energy out of us, better to use the registrational processes in reality for our advantages. I will give you just one example how in my family we are doing it. From the moment we are married with my wife, and it was something like 1991, so it's 22 years now. And from the first day we started registering every expense that we ever had. Until today, for 22 years, we have all the records of every expense that we have ever made. And yeah, maybe it's more than 1, 2, or 3 million euro. if you see all these expenses, and it is, of course, without the investments. But actually, when you learn to monitor what you are producing in reality and understand that actually we are part of the registrational processes, and while we are moving in reality, we are constantly creating data and footprint after us. So we need to turn this into a long-term asset. Everyone that understands how reality works actually uses this for their advantages and transform them long-term into assets. This is what I'm doing in my company. I'm constantly monitoring everything that is happening to the extent that it is possible for me now. We are constantly analyzing the data, not in order to micromanage, but in order to feel and see and measure the tendencies that we have put before us. Because for me, this is a very big paradox where we, the human beings, love to influence. We want everything to happen simultaneously without we to sacrifice anything from our personal being. But of course, there is always necessity for exchange. So this is impossible. And the other thing, once we start influencing, we are not willing to measure what is happening. And that's why measuring observation is good, but we need to know that actually everything is constantly recorded. So if it's constantly recorded, then where it is recorded, you can ask Alex, where is everything recorded in the objective reality? The first part that we are aware for is our mind. Of course, maybe not more than 2, 3 to 4% of everything that is happening around us is brought to the front part of the mind. Everything else is going into deep down into our subconsciousness. But whenever it happens to be a specific situation, you are going to see that actually specific moments are possible to happen. And of course, emotions are playing very strong role in order to associate and compartmentalize different types of memories and to work with them. I have spoken about this a lot before, but anyway, in society today, and everyone more and more, this is revealed to everyone in society, everyone understands how precious this is. Actually, what I'm precious about and what you're precious about is your data. Through your data and my data that we are constantly giving away for free into the reality, into the digital space, into the virtual reality, a lot of analysis are made for the human behavior, and a lot of learning of the artificial intelligence is done through that behavior. Then all the predictions that are happening in my mind, in the artificial intelligence, in the different layers of the physical matter reality, are based on this data that should be analyzed through the perception mechanisms in the mind. Of course, we know this, but the important thing is long-term to know that we are to record as much as possible things that are happening with us. Of course, some people are very strong into journaling. When you are journaling, what you are doing, you are remembering the situations. You are remembering some feelings. You and I am remembering what was the experience or how we were present in this moment. So for me, recordings and constantly analyzing data is a very important thing. And I'll just give you a short story with one billionaire that we met maybe the last year after I put in myself attention that it is important for me to start working with billionaires and to understand how they're working and so on and so on. And it happened so that in my reality, such a billionaire appeared. He is now a Bulgarian citizen, and so on and so on. And he wants now to cooperate with us, and we are learning more about how he's living. And what we realized is that actually constantly for him are important two things. He has more than 20 or 30 companies and more than 8 or 10,000 people. He is willing to know only two things, and he's controlling and constantly memorizing and constantly recording two things: the cash flow, the money, the accountancy of the companies, all of them. And the second thing is the human resources. For me personally, in the last 2 years, the human resources become important because I started monitoring on a daily and a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, all the efficiency of the human beings and what they are producing with their inner power. Because as an owner and someone who wants long-term to work with a lot of people, I need to understand what exactly is the yield that is additional to the common tasks that every person is giving in order to produce the further results. And there is a lot of inner work inside of this. It is not only robotical work. It is not only things that are like instructions and manuals and nobody is thinking. Yes, in some processes it is so, but where there are a lot of things that depend from the inner being, then it's a different game. It is the same in the innovational environment, where one innovation of one specific person can bring so much millions to a company. So what I realized that it is not only me. Okay, I'm now not a billionaire. I work with some millions and so on, but long term, what I'm realizing now, that even in the next 20, 30 or 40 years while I'm here on this planet, I will continue to monitor, to follow all the recordings, to even make much more important every my movement, because it gives me much more power to make decisions and also to observe and to know what actually is happening, because we are very strongly willing to go into ignorance, into not monitoring, into not watching, and just to wait for beautiful things to happen, but without our involvement. And if it's possible, everything to happen in our life and we to be never involved into this and just everything to be given for us, it is not possible, because long-term reality is interactional. It is not possible to understand reality. It is not possible to rule your reality if you are not interactional with it on a daily level. It's not necessary you to make big shifts for one day. It is not necessary you to make millions for 1 week. The important thing is to grasp the processes and to start implementing them on a daily basis. So it was another validation for me during what happened in the last 2-3 days of meetings, that recordings are always very important, and to constantly work with data and analyzing all the data that are happening in your personal life are good for you, are long-term helping you. And actually all of us are in this way gathering more awareness, and actually we are receiving the compound effect, because every next day we are different person from what was yesterday, because of all the recordings we produced during the last 24 hours. So that's why some of the people are doing this in the evenings, instead of just going into imaginations and affirmations and just moving strongly into the imaginations. You need also to have a time for recalculation and for the recording of everything that happened. Of course, it's not necessary everything to be labeled only good. No, Alex, I want to monitor and to record only the good things. The bad things in my life, I want to long-term just forget. But of course, the people that are really understanding the recordings, they don't care if the recordings are good and bad. They never label them, because everything is in motion. Everything can be transmuted. In everything that is happening with us, there are so many gems. And of course, we know from the obvious reality that a lot of gems are hidden where it's dirty, where it's dark, where it's not easy. We want always to go after the shiny, after the easy, after the things that are, so to say, obvious, and to give no personal suffering, to exchange nothing, just things to happen for us. And this is all for today. I would like to encourage all of you to continue striving for ruling reality. And a very interesting thing for reality that I have realized, and maybe I was thinking in the beginning that it is so easy and all the processes are very easy and they're very natural and organic for us. Also, there are so many processes happening in the same time that this makes reality complex, but also this makes reality interesting. It makes it fascinating. And then every morning when you open your eyes, you never know what is going to happen, and whatever happens, you become to be fascinated. So this is all for today. Enjoy your reality. You can follow me long-term in YouTube if you want to understand how I'm ruling my reality and why I have created my own programs, ruling reality basics and beyond success reality, and long term, why I'm willing to help people to understand how it's possible to actually transform their life, not through different steps, but only through rightly positioning themselves in the right space. And from there forward, all the journeys are happening for them to the extent that they're willing to actually perform and interact with reality. That's why I called myself a matchmaker between you and your reality. It's not up to me to deal with you and your reality. It's up to me just to acquaint you with each other and you to start your own journey of understanding and moving forward into the beauty of the interaction of your daily reality. So thank you for watching today. Bye bye. Enjoy your reality.